Hello guys. So Angular introduced standalone components in version 14 some time ago. So if you have recently created an application in Angular 17, you would notice that the App.module.ts file is missing. So this is actually because of those standalone components. They are really optional. To be fair, you can decide to use them or not to use them actually. So if you remember, what we actually normally use to do, or what we use in our projects, is when you create a new component, you'd have to actually update or create a new module.ts file. For example, if you remember, if we say ng module, you have something like this, and then you need to have your imports here and stuff like that. You need to import and then export this module after you have created this whole thing. So these standalone components, the idea is to break this whole thing, remove a separate module that we a separate file that we create, and just implement it in the component. So the whole idea is to move away from module files and then focus more on components. So yeah, the way they do it is to, if you have your component and you want to register it as a standalone component, all you can do is to just say it's a standalone component, and you just make it through here. And if you have some imports, as we used to do, that you want to do to implement this component, you can just say imports here, and then you have all your imports added here. So for example, you can actually import the common module here. So once you've done this, that means that you can now use your ngifs or etc in this component. So yeah, there are quite a number of advantages of using the standalone components. One, so it's really now an easier process for creating components, so you don't really need to go and update or create another file. You just do it in here inside the component. Also somehow it help, like when you're learning this, you can actually easily learn since you are more focusing on these components only. Lazy loading as well has actually been made much more easier. I'll just show you briefly soon how it's actually working now. So let's say, let me use the example of the property list. Let's say I have this property list component and I would want to navigate to that specific page. All I need to do is just go to our normal routes and then up routes to TS file, and then I can simply just do that, and then I can just name this maybe property, and then I can just say this property list component here, and let me just make it property list as well here, and then I can simply navigate to the browser, and I can just simply remove this and then say property list like this, and then it can actually navigate to that specific page. Now with these standalone components, let's say that the property list is a parent and then the property details is a child component. All I will need to do is, in the property list, let's say I would want to display them below each other. all I need to do now is to just reference the property detail component here. If I just reference the property detail component, I can now come to the property list, and then I can just say dot property detail here, and it can actually show here on the what you call it, below it on the same page, just like this. Another interesting topic that we can talk about is a lazy loading. So now with lazy loading, you can see this is not really lazy loaded. So if you want to lazy load this now, let's say you want to lazy load the property detail. So all that we now need to do is let's say we go to a specific property, and then this is just an example, and then we'll load the component, and now we're actually referencing the component here instead of the module. So yeah, that's basically what's just happened. If you're having sort of like issues and you're wondering where is the App.module.ts file and what's happening, yeah, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from the documentation as well, if you're really keen. But yeah, I just had to show you this simple code.